Hi, and welcome to my channel. I'm Simia Chaos, and I've got feelings to shout into the void. Before getting into the video, I'd just like to thank everyone who engaged with my last video. I could not have imagined I'd receive such a warm welcome, and I can't wait to see what kind of community we grow together. Thank you so much. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to assume you've seen Steven Universe the movie, and Steven Universe Future. If not, then spoilers ahead and things may not make complete sense. I loved Steven Universe when it was coming out, and for the most part I was on the same page as the fandom, but post-revelation of Pink Diamond being Rose Quartz, I noticed a shift, the villainization of her character. Many YouTubers have released videos on the topic, but the majority in the fandom still seem to view Pink Diamond as this villainous, selfish brat, despite the years we've had to look back on the series with Steven Universe ending in 2019, along with the release of the movie that same year, and Steven Universe Future concluding in 2020, being the final installment of the series. I somewhat understand how this interpretation came to be. At the beginning of the show, Rose Quartz was placed on a pedestal and heralded as this perfect being from the perspective of the crystal gems and Greg. Steven has the weight of living up to his mother on his shoulders, a mother who was, as far as he knew, a benevolent person who did no wrong. But he would learn over the course of the show that this was not the case, and we, the viewers, would accompany him as he discovered the many lies she told and mistakes she made until learning the ultimate truth. His mother was a diamond. Due to the nature of the diamond, Steven is upset and the audience sympathizes. It makes sense for us to be unhappy as Steven is unhappy, yet somehow it's like we collectively stopped using our critical thinking skills and the fandom decided hating on Pink was the only valid take. I watched as Pink Diamond was scapegoated into being the ultimate villain of the show, especially after the release of the movie and Spinell's story was told. Many who share my view have stated we saw her character development backwards, and it's exactly the case. We were presented with the best version of Rose at the beginning of the show and then see her faults and flaws throughout the series. By Steven Universe Future and the movie, we're learning about the worst thing she's done. So let's set the scene for Pink Diamond's life, how everything played out in chronological order, and address her crimes as I make the case that she was a victim who did the best she could with the cards she was dealt, and ultimately a flawed but good person. I'll be splitting this into two videos, the first covering her life before and during the war, and the second covering her life on Earth and time with Greg, before ultimately sacrificing her life to create Steven and the consequences of that choice. So, in the beginning, the diamonds are the absolute rulers of Gem Society and Homeworld. White diamond is at the top, yellow and blue seem to be equals, and pink is at the bottom. Pink as a diamond is above all other gems, but her fellow diamonds look down on her. She is not their equal. Gem Society is built on expansionism. They pick a planet and invade, using the planet's resources to create more gems, and then they settle on the planet, turning it into a colony of the Gem Empire, leaving no organic life behind. White, yellow, and blue have their own colonies that are theirs to govern, but overall White is the leader of the Diamond Authority and has the most control. She is the final say in how Homeworld and Gem Society function and are governed. To make gems, the essence of the diamonds is injected into the ground via injectors to absorb resources, and out pops a fully sentient gem. Different color combinations and conditions will produce different gem types. This essence is also what produces the specific gem abilities, as we learn through Peridot that in Era 2, without the presence of Pink Diamond and thus her essence, while Peridots can continue to be produced, they are lacking compared to their predecessors, and have less abilities, being equipped with limb enhancers to keep up with their duties. Pink Diamond's essence is essential to the Empire in Era 1 for things to function smoothly. However, unlike her fellow diamonds, she doesn't have colonies. She only appears to serve the very surface level of her diamond duties, producing essence for the Empire and making public appearances. She is idle and purposeless. Pink Diamond throws balls in celebration of her fellow diamonds' achievements and looks up to them. Through Steven's empathy abilities and dream abilities, we see that Pink was treated like a child. While they conquer planets and run an empire, she is aimless and only able to prop them up, entertain them, or be ignored. Speaking of her powers, we learn from Pink Pearl that Pink Diamond had destructive abilities. I speculate that her empathetic abilities and her healing abilities were developed during her time as Rose Quartz and alongside her time with Our Pearl, as Pink Pearl didn't seem to know of those powers, but that she always had her shields, as White Diamond was unfazed by them. We see in Steven Universe Future the diamonds can also invert their abilities, and thus Pink was the first of the diamonds to develop as a person enough to unlock her inverted powers. During Era 1, Pink is known for having tantrums, being set off and having to insist and persist to get any attention using her destructive abilities. When taking an interest in the Empire, she's treated as an annoyance. She wants to be like her fellow diamonds. She wants a colony and wants to be their equal, but is looked down on and controlled. She must ask for permission, she must beg for things a diamond should just have, and is monitored by the other diamonds. Due to her status as a diamond, she's entitled and throws tantrums to get away. She's told her whole life she's better than all the other gems, simply because she's a diamond, but also told she's not ready to be a diamond. She lives in a society where diamonds are at the top above all others, but she is beneath the other diamonds with no equal, alone. All diamonds have a pearl. They're similar to an assistant and treated like property. In her loneliness, Pink Diamond has Pink Pearl. She's seen playing with and entertaining her pearl, treating her pearl with a level of love and care unusual for a diamond to show, or any gem to show a pearl. Even before Earth, we can see that Pink Diamond is more loving than her fellow diamonds. She is loved by those who know her, the pebbles adore her, and Pink Pearl adores her. She goes out of her way doing silly things to make the other diamonds smile and laugh, and generally shows a lot of love. Pink also has affection for organic life forms and a fascination with life in general, taking in life forms when permitted. Even before Earth, she appreciates organic life and loves it. She experiments in her secret room producing the pebbles and can't seem to leave the idea of creating life alone, hence her yearning for a colony even more. It is not simply entitlement, but also her love of life that fuels her desire for a colony. But she's still a child in her mentality. She must get permission for the things she loves. Blue lets her keep organics. Her pearl can be taken and given at the other diamond's whims, and when she doesn't meet her fellow diamond's demands and expectations, she is punished, locked in the tower for periods of time with a single sliver of light. This is cruelty and abuse that we know extended to physical attacks and forced crying via Blue Diamond's powers, and potentially extended periods of time spent bubbled, as Yellow quips that Pink will be lucky if she isn't bubbled for the next millennia when Steven is heading to Homeworld to meet White Diamond. Pink Diamond was prevented from maturing due to the way she was treated by her fellow diamonds, and then punished for her lack of maturity by the same people who prevented her from growing, infantilized and punished for it. We learn from Rose's dialogue to Greg and Baby Sour Cream how gems view existence and who they are.
When a gem is made, it's for a reason. They burst out of the ground already knowing what they're supposed to be, and then that's what they are. Forever.
From this we can infer that part of this treatment was driven by the fact that Gem Society doesn't believe gems can grow and change, and so her fellow diamonds had no reason to believe Pink would ever be anything other than childish and immature, as that was how she was made. Gem Society is clearly wrong, as the theme of the show is change. All the crystal gems change in fundamental ways over the course of their lives and demonstrate the ability for growth, the same ability Rose seemed to think was unique to humans, her gem ideology still perpetuating her belief system even after escaping. These fundamental flaws in Gem Society perpetuate the cycle of abuse gems are trapped in, a cycle that Pink would risk it all to try and escape, yet her mental scars would continue to affect her even after fleeing. This brings us to Pink Pearl. She and Pink were clearly close, and the version of Pink Diamond she knew wasn't like the one we'd come to know. She was immature, threw tantrums, and generally very temperamental. Pink had destructive powers and was led by her emotions. However, this would change by the time she would receive the pearl we know and love from the show. In between these two pearls, we know that Pink Diamond damaged Pink Pearl and likely had her taken from her either as a punishment or due to her now being considered defective as a direct result of Pink's actions. Gems that are defective, overcooked, undercooked, and off-color are removed from the Empire and not permitted to exist, generally shattered, or as in the case of Era 2 gems made without Pink Diamond's essence, are given limb enhancers to meet their expected roles. We see that Amethyst is permitted at Steven's ball, but only with limb enhancers, so it's possible that Era 2 was more tolerant of defective gems due to the loss of Pink Diamond. I speculate that maybe as a kindness, White Diamond used her abilities to possess Pink Pearl and make her own, to Pink's horror. We see White Diamond similarly possess Blue and Yellow Diamond when they voiced their displeasure, and that from White's perspective she's fixed the problem and made them better. White Diamond being the one to dictate the rules, of course, could break them by having Pink Pearl under her control, as by being in this state she'd now be considered an extension of White, and thus no longer defective, as White is perfect. How soon Pink Diamond received our pearl after the incident is unknown, but by this time Pink is no longer having outbursts or lashing out the way she did before, since our pearl never saw this side of her and she was given to Pink Pearl just a few thousand years before she was given the Earth. The loss of Pink Pearl mixed with the guilt of hurting Pink Pearl changed Pink Diamond dramatically. To the controversy. It's clear that Pink Diamond hurt Pink Pearl, with the incident that damaged her having significant psychological impact. The incident in question was an accident, but regardless is still wrong. From what we can see, there is only evidence for one physical incident, and any other incidents were Pink Pearl watching as Pink lashed out. This kind of prolonged exposure to erratic behavior can be psychologically damaging, but this is also the equivalent of Pink Diamond throwing a tantrum. We wouldn't say a child was an abuser for lashing out and learning to express themselves. We especially wouldn't if said child was never given the tools or guidance on how to properly express themselves. In this instance, the fault lies on the system that both Pink Diamond and Pink Pearl are victims of. Pink has no power to change her situation, and neither does Pink Pearl. We can see from her interactions with both Owl Pearl and later Spinel that she treasured her pearl, and that the regret of losing Pink Pearl still haunts her, and this loss profoundly influenced her life moving forward. We can see the effects of this loss on her relationship with Owl Pearl. Pink Diamond is noticeably much more distant with Pearl than Pink Pearl. Her attempts to engage with Owl Pearl aren't as fulfilling, as Owl Pearl, and especially early in their relationship, is mostly focused on serving her duty as a pearl and lacks any autonomy or desires outside of serving her function. Pink is noticeably put off by this behavior. It is inadvertently through trying to please Pink Diamond that Owl Pearl gives Pink the idea to shapeshift into a quartz, to visit the first emerging amethysts. Owl Pearl could not have ever predicted how this would ultimately change Pink forever. Owl Pearl and Pink explore the Earth, and Pink Diamond falls in love with the beauty of the planet, having had a profound realization about her own kind. Her desire to be a diamond and to create life have both been thrown in her face, as the things she wanted most and the things she loved most are incompatible. A diamond must run her colony and consume the life of a planet to create more gems, something that fundamentally opposes Pink's love for life. So Pink tries to abort the colonization, and Owl Pearl watches as she attempts to argue her point. Noticeably, she's not throwing tantrums or using her destructive powers to try and get her way, but trying to beg and plead, a much more passive approach to getting what she wants than what Pink Pearl witnessed. It's evident the loss of Pink Pearl and what her powers did to Pink Pearl changed Pink forever, as even here, fighting for Earth, she's unable to bring herself to engage with those abilities. All of this leads to no results, and Pink Diamond takes on the persona of Rose Quartz with the intent to liberate Earth. Owl Pearl, out of duty and admiration for Pink Diamond, joins her, despite Pink's warning that failure would mean death.
I'm going to stay and fight for this planet. You don't have to do this with me.
But I want to!
I know you do. Please, please understand. If we lose, we'll be killed. And if we win, we can never go home. Why would I ever want to go home if you're here? My Pearl.
It is also here that we see Pink's admiration of Pearl as she addresses her as My Pearl, a term only used for one's superiors. Owl Pearl and Pink Diamond are very close, but are never as close as Pink Pearl and Pink Diamond were. Pink Diamond has learnt that a level of secrecy and distance is required in her relationships to prevent damage to the ones she cares for, as those who get too close have been harmed by her. Owl Pearl is rather stunted regarding her growth as a person until after the loss of Rose Quartz and the creation of Steven, as she tied her identity to Pink Diamond and then Rose. Owl Pearl was never able to get to a point where she truly valued herself as an individual during Pink's lifetime, and even most of Steven's early life. Pink Diamond / Rose Quartz tried to get Owl Pearl to understand her value outside of her, but she could never grasp the concept, going as far as to sacrifice herself in battle repeatedly against Rose's wishes during the war, something Rose and her would regularly argue over. Spinel had a similar problem where her whole identity was tied up in Pink Diamond, and so she couldn't cope with the loss of that relationship, leading to the events of the movie. Spinel is a gem designed to be someone's best friend. They're like pearls in the sense that they are designed for high-class gems to be owned, but in this case they're more designated for entertainment and companionship rather than a glorified receptionist/slave. Spinel was created for Pink Diamond and was designated to the Garden, a place where Pink and Spinel could play as much as they liked away from the eyes of Homeworld. The existence of the Garden is also a big indicator for Pink's love of life, as it seemed the diamonds allowed her to keep organic plant life here. It also seemed to be an attempt to let Pink alleviate her need to have fun and to make her happy, and allowed the other diamonds to be unburdened by her. They could send her to the Garden to play with Spinel while they carried out their duties. Spinel knew Pink was unhappy on Homeworld, and did everything she could to make Pink's time in the Garden fun. I speculate that both Owl Pearl and Spinel were an attempt to replace Pink Pearl, as Owl Pearl was unable to fill the role by herself. A pearl to carry out the duties of a pearl without getting distracted, and then Spinel to play with and enjoy as a distraction. In the garden, Pink Diamond and Spinel could play as much as they wanted, laugh, and overall enjoy each other's company. It seems though that this relationship wasn't as fulfilling for Pink Diamond, as it played more into Gem Society's roles, a relationship of fun only, as that was Spinel's duty, with Spinel being the one to entertain Pink. When Pink used to entertain Pink Pearl, it was also likely that Pink didn't like this blatant attempt to replace her old friend, as she could feel the inauthenticity of the relationship they were building. As, after all, Spinel was serving her purpose. It'd be easy for Pink to dismiss this love. Pink, during this time, would also make a conscious effort to try to be better. Pink was on her best behavior for the Diamonds, trying to earn the opportunity to have a colony and be an equal among the Diamond Authority. We see in her time with Spinel her talking to Yellow and Blue about getting a colony, and she seems to be doing her best to stay composed. It is likely Pink didn't take Spinel to Earth as she was trying to be more Diamond-like and wanted the other Diamonds to see that she was taking things seriously. So she chooses to play the game, and Spinel never sees her again. She also likely put walls up between herself and Spinel so she could prove herself more deserving as a Diamond, but also to avoid the possibility of being hurt if Spinel is ever taken away, as Spinel was a direct reflection of Pink's immaturity. We see through flashbacks how Pink is placating Spinel to a degree and not truly engaging with her in the same way she did with Pink Pearl. It is also equally possible that after Pink left to meet Yellow and Blue, she was told that she couldn't bring Spinel or even see her, as they wanted her to focus on the colony and not any distractions. It would be entirely within their character to do this, maybe even cutting off her access to the garden entirely. Ultimately, we don't know how much of the extent of her decision to leave Spinel was truly her own, and considering the level of control the other Diamonds had over Pink, I find it likely it wasn't her choice, at least not entirely. We know due to the production notes that White only gave Pink the colony to prove she wasn't ready, so Pink needed to do absolutely everything she could to prove she was. Abandoning Spinel was horrible, and clearly affected Spinel greatly. However, Pink may not have had the ability to go back for her, and even if she did, the risk of going back was likely too high. Had Pink Diamond Spinel been spotted in Rose's army, her identity could have been at risk, or Spinel would have become a target as her seeming betrayal of Pink would be more heavily criticized by the Diamonds and Gems alike. It may have been protective on Pink's part to leave Spinel in the garden during the war. I don't think Pink expected Spinel to actually stay still until she came back. The fact the Diamonds never collected her and considered her a lost treasure was due to their neglect, as she was exactly where they should have expected her to be, in the garden. Pink Diamond also likely did not quite view Spinel as an individual yet, making her choice to leave easier, and by the time Pink Diamond grew to see Gems as individuals after meeting Garnet, the chance to go back for Spinel had long passed. She knew, just like with Owlpearl, that Spinel would fight for her simply because she was Pink Diamond, and seen that despite trying to reason with Owlpearl to make her own choices, the conditioning from Homeworld wasn't that easy to break. We also know interstellar travel using portals was destroyed as part of the war, so Pink couldn't retrieve Spinel post-war either. I imagine Spinel was one of Pink's many regrets. As Rose Quartz, she doesn't have a positive view of herself. We can infer this from the lyrics to Love Like You.
I always thought I might be bad. Now I'm sure that it's true, 'cause I think you're so good, and I'm nothing like you.
She is very aware of her mistakes and doesn't like who she was or even who she is. She believes she is bad. Pink Diamond / Rose Quartz doesn't believe herself immune to fault. It is those around her who put her on a pedestal. Her biggest flaw is her inability to value herself and thus see the value she has to others. We also know the Diamonds didn't give her much freedom even when running her colony, as the Crystal Gem's very first attack with just Rose and Pearl was against Blue Diamond, who was on Earth. The Diamonds were already micromanaging Pink's colony. Her attempts to stop the colonization seem to have only made Yellow and Blue interfere more in Earth and take control of the situation, likely as they were the ones who argued Pink was ready, and thus for her to fail would mean they were wrong and they'd all have to face White Diamond. For every reason she gave, they provided solutions, including the creation of the human zoo. When arguing for the colonization to end, she'd be reassured by Blue that this Rose Quartz can't hurt you, and that you don't even have to do anything, just smile and wave. Again, Pink Diamond's status and opinions don't matter. To those who think she should have fought the war as Pink Diamond, how was she to know Gems wouldn't follow her simply for being a diamond, especially with Owlpearl seeming to do so for that very reason? How was she to prevent the other Diamonds from treating this like any other tantrum and locking her in the tower, abusing her into submission? The Diamonds wouldn't have approached this as a war, but another one of Pink Diamond's outbursts. She didn't have any true power as a diamond, she'd have lost as a diamond, potentially even having been taken over by White's powers and no longer allowed to be her own person if White was angry enough. She's seen White Diamond do this to her very own Pearl after all, and we'd see later that White was willing to do this to Yellow and Blue when they side with Steven, so we know it's within her character to do so. Pink also genuinely believed if caught they would be killed. So Pink Diamond is now fighting not only for her love of Earth, but for her fellow crystal gems. For the gems that are defective, overcooked, undercooked, off-color, fusions, and those who simply didn't want to live their life within the straits of the Empire, amassing an army to fight Homeworld and attempting to liberate the planet. By her side, her closest confidants would be Pearl, Garnet, and Bismuth, with Bismuth crafting weapons for the rebellion and upgrading any existing gem weapons. Rose Quartz receives her sword from Bismuth, a sword designed explicitly not to shatter a gem, only damaging their physical form. Despite being at war, Pink Diamond's compassion shines through as she refused to shatter, seeing the taking of life is wrong. During the war, many would be shattered on both sides, but Pink Diamond would go out of her way to avoid doing so. During this time, Bismuth would develop the Breaking Point, a weapon designed solely for shattering a diamond, as she believed that would end the war. She would bring this creation to Rose Quartz and be shot down, told that it isn't right, and Bismuth, ever passionate, would attack Rose as she believed her an unfit leader for valuing the lives of enemy gems above their own. Now Rose couldn't come clean here. If Bismuth is willing to attack her as Rose Quartz, she'd certainly be willing to attack her as Pink Diamond. Revealing the truth wouldn't have improved the situation. Clearly, Bismuth was willing to shatter whoever she believed she needed to liberate Gemkind. So the fight would end with Rose bubbling Bismuth, and she made the choice to hide the truth of what happened. How was she to explain to her fellow gems that their ally attacked her with the intent to shatter her? I believe Rose didn't want to tarnish Bismuth's memory, or make an enemy of her, potentially even splitting the rebellion into those who support Rose and those who support Bismuth, weakening them as a whole. She lied to preserve the memory of her friend and to leave room for one day bringing Bismuth back, without anyone hating her for attacking the leader. This lie was told from a place of kindness and shame of the truth of her identity and kindness towards her friend. These are the results of her own mistakes, her own self-hatred, as she fueled her campaign against Pink Diamond with the hatred she had for herself so well that those who followed her hated Pink too. Most people's self-esteem issues don't play directly into propaganda for a war. These choices hardly make her irredeemable. It is undoubtedly deceitful, but leaders have to be capable of making morally questionable decisions with the best interests of their people in mind. Do you truly think the truth would have been beneficial to the rebellion during the war? To the remaining crystal gems after the war? After such a catastrophic loss? Rose Quartz lied, but she didn't do it to hurt anyone or with malicious intent. Rather the opposite. Her lies were told from a place of shame, pain, and protectiveness of herself and others. Bubbling Bismuth wouldn't be the only time Pink Diamond would use bubbling as a way to reduce her problems, as she would later in the war bubble the entire Rose Quartz gem type and store them within her room at the human zoo. We know it was her as the bubbles are pink. I speculate she may have done it to prevent the other diamonds destroying them, as any of them could be mistaken for her while shifted into her Rose Quartz disguise, or simply because the gem type as a whole would be blamed. In the episode That Will Be All, Yellow blames the entire gem cut and wishes for them to be destroyed, and they only continue to exist due to Blue's desire to keep them as they were Pink's. It's likely that this is because Pink wanted them to be kept safe, hence her bubbling them, and Blue hoped to honor that wish. Zircon during the trial mentions that Rose Quartzes had not been present in Pink's army or entourage for quite a while before Pink Diamond's shattering. If the Rose Quartzes weren't bubbled, they'd likely have been shattered, and similar to how Pink Diamond couldn't go back for Spinel, she couldn't go back for the Rose Quartzes, especially as they were kept at the human zoo. Had Pink Diamond been able to get to the human zoo, she'd have surely saved both the Rose Quartzes as well as the humans of the human zoo. The human zoo was one of seemingly Blue Diamond's attempts to appease Pink, as one of Pink's complaints was wishing to preserve the life on Earth, and so the solution of the diamonds was the creation of the human zoo. Humans were taken from Earth and put into captivity. Pink is often blamed for the human zoo, despite having no say in the matter. It wasn't her fault in any way. But yet another attempt by Blue Diamond to make her happy without actually listening to what she wanted. The human zoo is messed up as a concept, but to the diamonds it was a more than fair solution, as they held organic life in low regard, if even considering them at all. Blue only later learns to appreciate humans as a reminder of Pink Diamond, and it's only after Steven Universe Future the diamonds are beginning to see organic life and other life forms as anything other than lesser, with White Diamond needing to still be corrected. It thus makes sense that Blue would consider the zoo a more than fair solution to Pink's concerns, but to Pink it would be yet another thing outside her control that the diamonds could give and take away, and another example of how they refused to listen to her. So to recap, Pink Diamond has now lost her first pearl after harming her due to her own diamond abilities, has repeatedly been infantilized and then punished/abused for immaturity by her fellow diamonds, begged and pleaded for the things that other diamonds just have, had her first pearl replaced with our pearl and spinel while watching her first pearl bleached of her color and possessed by White Diamond, then, after finally earning her first colony, come to the realization that colonization is the process of taking a planet's resources, ultimately killing the natural ecosystem and any life present on the planet, going against her core values, and in her attempt to end the colonization, humankind had a handful of humans kidnapped from their society and kept in captivity. She attempts to rebel, leading to Garnet, who inspired her to fight for gems, leading to the rebellion that Bismuth joined and became one of her most trusted, only for Bismuth to attempt to kill her over a disagreement in leadership, over the shattering of Pink Diamond and the diamonds in general, which Pink would vehemently disagree with, not just because it was her life they were talking about, but the fact that she was against shattering as a principle, and this complete opposition to violence can be linked back to her harming her first pearl as a result of her diamond abilities. To me, White Diamond's biggest mistake that led to the change of status quo was taking Pink Pearl from Pink Diamond and the horror of possessing her for thousands of years that Pink had to watch. Had White Diamond not done this, Pink Diamond may have tolerated the status quo and never changed, but the loss of Pink Pearl can be seen in every choice she makes going forward, and leads ultimately to the fake shattering of Pink Diamond.
Blue and yellow don't care. They never have. This is Pink Diamond's colony. We can end it all right here, right now.
We can see here that Pink and Blue/Yellow's relationship has deteriorated to the point she doesn't believe that they'll care if she's gone, that she genuinely believes that following Bismuth's advice and shattering Pink Diamond will end the conflict. Considering how they've dismissed, abused, and disregarded her until now, it makes sense that Pink would conclude that the only reason they give her the time of day is her status as a diamond, and the need to force her to conform to what they believe a diamond should be. If Pink isn't around to tarnish what a diamond is, that'd solve everyone's problems, right? I can't fault Pink for not realizing how the diamonds would lash out. I don't blame her for not predicting her abuser's insane response to her shattering. The remaining diamonds intended to decimate all the gems left on Earth's surface, regardless of which side they were on, and corrupt the gems both from the rebellion but also Homeworld. Their response was not proportionate in any way, and the fates of those corruptors was even worse than shattering in a way. Left as beasts with no identity or sentience. Only Rose Quartz, Garnet, and Pearl would survive due to Rose's shield. Those who blame Pink Diamond for how the diamonds responded seem to think that there was a way for her to predict this outcome, but not even the diamonds who caused corruption knew what they had done.
We blasted the planet and obliterated every gem on its surface.
What am I looking at? No one should have survived our attack.
Centipedal's mind is broken. I've tried to heal her, but it didn't stick.
Heal her?
They themselves are horrified at the sight of corrupted gems, and seemingly had no clue as to what the consequences would be. Ultimately, this was negligence from the diamonds. Pink should take no blame for corruption. She didn't do anything other than what she believed would save her fellow gems and the planet she loved. It is the rest of the Diamond Authority who are to blame, and only them. Hopefully you can now see how during Era 1 and the war, Pink was a victim reacting to the choices the diamonds above her made, and that the rebellion and war are a direct result of Pink's values clashing with the values of Homeworld, as she learnt and grew. She grew from a gem who believed that the other diamonds were right, to vehemently opposing their ideals and fighting for life, both organic and inorganic. She wanted nothing more than to create life and be a diamond, only to learn that to be a diamond meant destroying life. When she couldn't find a solution through talking to her fellow diamonds, she resorted to action, and these actions would save the Earth and liberate many a gem before the other diamonds' corrupting light would destroy what Pink Diamond had built as Rose Quartz. Leaving the Earth liberated, but crystal gems and Homeworld gems alike corrupted. The only survivors were Pearl, Garnet, Bismuth, through being bubbled, and herself as far as she knew. This was a tragic loss that Pink would never forgive herself for, and we'll cover in part 2 how she responded to this loss, and how she and the remaining crystal gems would work towards the future we see in the show. I'd be interested in your thoughts on her time in Era 1 and during the war. I'll cover her time on Earth in peace, her time with Greg, and her choice to have Steven, and everything after that in part 2. Until then, thanks for watching, and thanks for being here. Bye!